Well, welcome back to the Beyond Default studio. And today we are here with Kylie Perrin. Welcome, Kylie.
Hi, thanks, Katrina.
It's wonderful to have you. Kylie and I have known each other for many years. We used to work together in a corporate organisation. And now Kylie is the founder of the Inspired Leader, her own organisation. So she is definitely living a life beyond default. Let's start with that, Kylie. I mean, I know a bit of your story, but some of our listeners may not. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about, you and what you do, and maybe start us on the road of your Beyond Default story.
Yeah, absolutely. So my background is HR with an organizational psychology bent, and I've always, the early part of my career was always in generalist HR roles with a focus on culture and capability, and love that aspect, love the people side of things. But then over time, I realized that I wanted to really hone in and do more on that culture and capability. And while I still love HR and still do support organizations with their HR policies and whatnot, I really have that passion, and that's why I've set up my business, The Inspired Leader, to focus on the positive aspects of how can we set up an organization in terms of their culture, in terms of their leadership, so that they don't need to rely on policies, they don't need to rely on those heavy HR pieces so much.
Well said. So true. And with great leadership and great culture, that's exactly what can happen. Tell us, I mean, you started off there saying, you've got a background in this and now you're doing that. Can you tell us a little bit about what has led you to this point on your journey?
Yes. So it wasn't necessarily something that I thought that I would do. To be really honest, I was a career person. I enjoyed working in corporates. I love having that team, that buzz around me. Although I always liked the smaller organizations. I am very much a people person, and I like to know who I'm working with. So larger organizations just weren't for me. And I found that when particular organization that I worked in became one of those big organizations, I realized, no, actually, my core is working in that smaller space so that I can really make a difference and know the people that I'm working with. However, when my children were very young, about 2 and 5, around about there, the company that I was head of HR for moved location, and it would have meant that I was going to be sitting in peak hour traffic for an hour and a half each way. And realistically, this was pre-COVID. It wasn't going to be a feasibility for me with young children. So my Beyond Default actually was pretty much forced upon me, being a working mum, wanting to have a career. I'm not somebody that can sit and be a stay-at-home mum purely. I need to work. I need to have that purpose for myself as well, as much as I love my family and love having the time with my kids. And so then I started thinking, what can I do? What am I going to do here? I'm not going to be able to stay with this role. So that's what made me think, right, I've enjoyed working with some consultants that I've brought in for different things. Maybe I can do that. Maybe I can actually set up my own business and really focus in on the things that I love. And so that's where my Beyond Default journey came from. And I really haven't looked back. I absolutely love what I do now.
So Kylie, I mean, it was interesting you said there, you got to that crossroad and you're like, maybe I can, like sometimes I think like we're not really sure, right? There's a bit of fear or uncertainty. How did you navigate your way through and tell us, like, was there fear, uncertainty? Like, how did you navigate your way through that, and what were some of the emotions?
Absolutely. So yeah, there was all sorts of emotion. There was some uncertainty. There was, is this the right thing for me? Am I doing the right thing? Can I do this? I'm not a salesperson. I like to lead a team, but I don't necessarily want to be the one out there doing everything. And what I talk through what that was, I think I actually reached out to you at the time too, Katrina. Just reach out to my network, check in with the people, those consultants that I mentioned that had worked closely with my organizations, to say, what do you think? What's been your path? Learn from their experiences, learn what works, then make the decision in a considered way. And the key is to have a really strong support network. Now, even if you feel you don't have that network, you do. You know, it's reaching out to people. Don't think I'd spoken to you in probably 5 years at that time.
I know.
So it's you have that network there. You've built up relationships with people that you've worked with in the past, with other areas, and you know there's a whole lot of coaches out there as well, of course, that you can pay and tap into there as well. But just don't do it alone is the key. Find your happy place. And the other thing that was really important for me as I embarked on this journey was you can get really caught up in doing all the doing and what you think you have to do and all of these things. And what I found at one point was I'd gone down a rabbit hole that wasn't really me. And I was struggling and frustrated and going, what is going on? Why is this just not feeling right? And I remember this one particular day I went, right, I'm going to go and sit on the beach with a book, like a notepad, and just the beach is my happy place. The beach is where I really grounded myself and really felt in my heart, what is it that I need to do? What is it? Which path do I need to take? And where should I take this? That made all the difference, because you will get a lot of advice along the way, particularly if you sign up for courses or even all of the information out there on the internet, as well as all of the information that you get from your network. And so it's distilling that and then making that resonate for you.
It can be overwhelming, can't it? I mean, it's wonderful to get support and it's wonderful to have a network, but sometimes there's so much advice that it's all consuming. I guess, is there like a lesson that you've had out of that experience? Because I think sometimes people shop around a little bit. They go, oh, well, what am I going to get there? And what am I going to get here? And sometimes it gives them so much information, almost paralyzes you from moving forward. And you said you were almost overwhelmed and you needed to just decompress a little bit and try and filter the information. So are there any lessons, that you would give to people around, how do they move through that kind of, I mean, I know you're a specialist in leadership and sometimes it's about just leading yourself. So how do people lead themselves through some of those kind of challenges?
Yeah. So I think it's noticing, and sometimes that can be really hard to notice when you're feeling that frazzled, you're feeling overwhelmed. Taking time, probably every day if you can, to just sit and think, how am I feeling today? What do I need today? Is to be the best version of myself. And often it's when you are really busy that you lose that touch because you just get into action mode or whatnot. So taking 5 minutes a day to just sit and think, okay, where am I? Am I feeling the way I want to feel? And setting an intention for the day, potentially if things are going well, or okay, what do I need to bring myself back to that equilibrium, to that place where I can perform and can be at my best and can make the right decision for that moment as well.
And on that, Kylie, like, do you have any particular daily habits that you have in place that kind of set you up for the day or set you up for a good sleep, you know, whatever it might be, but any daily habits that you would recommend to people?
Yes. Well, the one I just described is the first one that I do for the morning, is that self check-in. So ideally, getting away from the hustle and bustle of, particularly if you've got a family, of the house. So whether that's, you know, going out even into your backyard or onto your veranda or whatnot, and just taking a moment to, with a cup of tea, to look into some green space, or go for a walk and, you know, just clear your head and be able to just feel yourself. The other thing that I do every single day, and depending on my mood, I might do it twice a day, at the beginning and at the end, is thinking about 3 good things. So I actually do this as a ritual as I'm about to go to sleep. So it's the last thing that I think about before I go to sleep, so that I end up being in a really nice space for sleep time, is what are the 3 good things that happened today? And that bit of gratitude is really balancing, settling, and creates fantastic neural pathways. The same thing is great to do in the morning. What are 3 good things that I'm looking forward to today? Because what you focus on grows. If you focus on the positives, then you'll look out for the positives. You'll see the positives more often.
I love those tips, Kylie. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No. So, you know, the flip side is, when you're feeling stressed, you know, have you ever had that day where you're like, oh gosh, today's going to be a bad day?
Yeah.
It's going to be a bad day because you look for all the negative things. So you've really got to flip that language that you use.
What about, have you had any pivotal moments? I mean, you made a decision. Is it maybe 6 years ago now? You made a decision to change direction.
Yes.
Have you had any pivotal moments along the way that, you know, have really kind of taught you lessons or things that you wanted to share with us today?
Sure. I've had a number of pivotal moments, probably in terms of leadership and doing what I do. The reason I'm so passionate about leadership and culture is because I've seen and experienced some absolutely fantastic cultures where everything just works, and you genuinely love, you're excited to go to work each day because you know it's going to be a great experience. You know you're making a difference. You enjoy the work that you do and the people that you work with. But if I'd only ever experienced that, I wouldn't do what I'm doing because I wouldn't feel the need. Right? I have, unfortunately or fortunately, worked on the flip side as well with some pretty horrendous leaders. Probably wouldn't call them a leader, a manager, who at times were tyrants. You know, I remember once in very early career, my first leadership role, being told I shouldn't be having lunch with the admin person. She's not at my level. I should only be interacting with the leadership team. I was like, okay, no, because yeah. So and then in another role, yes, you know, other almost psychopathic, sociopathic type leader who just was very, very charismatic, but just was not a nice person under the surface. And seeing what those types of leaders, the damage that they can do, not only to an organization's performance, but just to the happiness of people at work. People just were dragging themselves into work, working for people like that. It's just not a nice place. And so I really noticed strongly the difference between those organizations and went, right, how can I, in my role, create more of the cultures, create more of the organizations where people actually want to come to work? And so that is my purpose and passion.
Oh, I love this, Kylie. I mean, I remember, in fact, I think it was at the organisation we worked at together, we looked at some research where they said people don't leave organisations, they leave leaders. And, you know, interestingly, right, it's like you talked about those leaders that you worked with that really took the joy away from your life and you're not there anymore. You know, and it's like, I guess, you know, what's something you found about that experience of, you know, how you know, a person behaves and how they can impact on the joy of another person? Why don't you share some of that with us?
Sorry, you cut out for just a minute and I missed your question there.
That's okay. I saw that we've got a bit of delay going on, but I think we can work through it, Kylie. So yeah, so I'm just, you know, it's interesting noticing you have identified that as a leader, it's easy. You can either have the ability in your behaviour to bring someone joy or to take their joy away from them. So, you know, I guess what kind of, have you got a story or a lesson that you can teach people about that?
Absolutely. Let me think for a moment of the best. For leaders, I think it's not about big, grand gestures. Yes, it's nice to receive a great score on your performance review or, you know, great feedback on your performance reviews, but that's once a year, or maybe it's a couple of times a year, or however long often organizations do it. It's the everyday interactions that bring joy. It's that checking in, hey, how are you, in a authentic way, and making people feel seen and heard and valued on a regular basis. So I just actually had just got off a call from my direct report, and she really lovely, had just shared with me that she's never felt a leader who really understood and cared about her in the way that I have. So, you know, working through challenges or just being able to say, hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed and I need support. So she's never actually been able to say that to another leader before. And I find that quite crazy because, you know, that's what a leader is there for, is to be able to be a sounding board, to be able to say, hey, you know, I need some help right now. Let's work through this. And it's those little moments that show you care. You know, other examples where I've been working with organizations and they say the managing director might come around and say hi to people in the morning, but sometimes it feels like it's a tick box exercise, or even that they're getting spied on. And
yeah, wow.
we want, yeah, so we want them to go around and say hi. You know, we want that approachability, but we want them to actually genuinely do it. We want them to go around and say, hey, how are you doing? You know, how was your weekend? What's going on for you at the moment? And, you know, is there anything that I need to help you with? Not that I need to know about or whatnot, but how can I help? How can I make your life easier right now? And show that care for people is huge.
I've got a mentor who has a saying, people don't care how much you know, they want to know how much you care. And it's so true, isn't it? Like, as a leader, people want to know that you care for them, that you hear them, that you see them. And what beautiful examples of that, Kylie, you know, and how wonderful is it that your direct report is saying those things about you, but very sad that they've never had that experience before. Just goes to show there's a lot of things that you can do in your organisation to really change the landscape of joy in the world, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
I want to know, have you got like a favourite book or some books that you'd love to recommend?
Okay, so yes, I'm more of recent times, I'm more of an audio book. I love getting things off
Love it.
Spotify nowadays, and listening to them while I'm doing something else. But the latest one that I absolutely love is Stephen Bartlett's 33 Laws of Business and Life. So he just has a way about him. So, I mean, he's a fantastic podcaster and interviewer as well. That this particular book is bite-sized pieces of advice on a whole range of different topics. So he loves the neuroscience, he loves that connection piece, and it's showing people how they can potentially set up a business, how they can lead people, how they can lead themselves really effectively. And yeah, he's just got a great way about him, great examples of real businesses, real leaders out there that have made a difference.
Fantastic. Just say the name and the author again.
Yeah, so it's Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO, the 33 Laws of Business and Life.
Yeah, so the podcast is Diary of a CEO, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, that's
fantastic.
Right.
Great recommendation, Kylie. Okay, any kind of one thing? I mean, you are running your own business. You've got young children as well. Anything particular you do to, recharge your energy and, keep you focused on your goals?
So I have an annual plan that I create each year. So I make sure that I take that time around this time of year. I've already done mine for the year now, where I pause and firstly reflect on the prior year, but then really think, what is it that I want to achieve next year? I actually write myself a diary entry for what I expect to happen by the end of the year. So I really visualize it. From a neuroscience perspective, if you can create that visual in terms of what am I seeing, what am I feeling, who am I there with, all of the experiential factors, and really bring that to life for you, that's half the battle. Obviously, you have to get into action and do the work, but to show your brain this is possible actually starts to create that neural wiring, which can create the success that you need. Then creating a plan and breaking it down into really small chunks, so that, okay, this month, this is my focus. This is how I'm going to move the dial and progress throughout the year. So I create that big plan at the beginning of the year, and then I make sure that I give myself that space to do a monthly check-in with myself. I have an accountability buddy to also check in with, and so we share what we're working on, how we're progressing, give each other some feedback, some tough love if we need to, and having that accountability buddy. Sometimes I find, yes, I am very self-motivated, but there's times where I can get really busy and focused on my clients or focused on other things, and this particular goal is, the goals that I set here are, how can I move myself forward in something that's unique and new for me this year? So you do need that accountability person to just remind yourself, oh, that meeting's coming up. I better make sure that I've made that promise. Yes. So that really helps too.
Yes. Doesn't matter how self-driven you are, it's great to have someone holding you accountable. Now, okay, I'm very curious about this diary entry. Is this like a letter to your future self? Like, tell me about this. I think this is something that people will want to be able to replicate.
Yeah, exactly right. So I pretty much say, okay, in December, this is, okay, diary entry is like a letter to your future self. The letter to your future self activity is more you're showing your future self what has happened. This is a future dated looking back, or the future dated, so that you can aspire to that. So it's on the 13th of December. This is the year that's been. So we had some challenges we might have, overcome, and, be real with yourself. These are some things that are coming up and that you need to overcome. This is what you did. So to overcome that particular challenge. And this is where it landed you. So right now you've been able to do X, Y, and Z. You've shared your story with these people. You've achieved this particular goal that you've set out, and this is what it brought for you. These are the companies that you've been working with. These are the people that you've been working with. You've been able to go on this great holiday because you've been really successful, and this is how you rewarded yourself. For me, it's okay. Your kids have been really happy and achieving at school. You've been able to find that balance and quality time with them. So these are the things that you're doing. And so you really go into the key aspects of your life, your finances, health, what your family have done. What are all the key important things for yourself? So yeah, it's a really, I love that activity. It's a really
sounds fabulous.
Great one to do. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
And
a future diary entry. Sorry, you go, Kylie.
Sorry, yeah, no, we crossed over. So another great version of that I like to use in my leadership programs and helps aspiring leaders particularly, but all leaders at all, is to think about even further ahead. So at your next milestone birthday, whether that's you're turning 40, you're turning 50, whatever that might be, you have 3 people speaking about you and sharing their appreciation for what you are at that point of time. One is somebody that you look up to, one of your senior managers. There's a peer that you've been working alongside, and there's a direct report that you may or may not have currently. What do each of those 3 people say about you from their perspective? So you're getting these different perspectives of people around you. What would you like them to say about you? And then that can become that, okay, this is what I need to do to get to be that person, that future self. And of course, in all of that, I find it really important to talk about, okay, a family member or a close friend is also speaking about you. Remember the personal side as well. That's very important, not just the work side.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I mean, I heard someone say that once around, kind of writing what people would say about you at your funeral. But that sounds much nicer, rather than think about your life as it has ended. Let's think about the life that you're living and what do you want people to say about you now. So, Kylie, we're going to wrap up in a minute, but is there anything else on your heart that you would love to share today? Anything about your Beyond Default journey around leadership, anything you'd like to share? My biggest tip that I share with anybody who wants to go beyond default, well, there's two things. Number one is you're going to feel fear. That is natural. That is human instinct. Our brains are wired to keep us safe. Push through that fear. Push through it, and you'll be amazed at what's on the other side. Because keeping safe is, you're going to be in default for the rest of your life. You're not going to be able to be expansive. So really think, what do I want to be? And become that person. Live that person. The second is what I started with at the very beginning, is reach out to people. When I first set up my business and I didn't want to, worry people or whatnot, I didn't want to disturb people. I'm not much of a salesperson, as I said. Somebody gave me the tip, just do it. Reach out to your LinkedIn network, even if you haven't spoken to them for a long time. And so that was actually the thing that took my business from an idea to actually thriving, is reaching out to your network and saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. Would you like to have a chat? Love that, Kylie. Well, speaking of reaching out, if people want to reach out to you, how do they find you?
Sure. So I am on LinkedIn, Kylie Perrin, or The Inspired Leader, and I have a website, theinspiredleader.com.au.
Wonderful, Kylie. It has been an absolute gift having you on the podcast today, and I am certain that this will have inspired many leaders and many people. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks, Katrina. It's lovely speaking with you.